My name's Matt Williams. I'm a Los Angeles-based filmmaker, and I decided to start up a podcast with a friend of mine called Dying to Shoot.
My name's Adam Biley. I'm a Chicago-based screenwriter and trying to be filmmaker.
So every now and then we'll get together and we'll Skype. We generally put out an episode or so a week, maybe a little bit plus. About an hour long, but if you get past our rants and everything, at the end of it we usually have some pretty good technical data. In the beginning of it, we usually have some pretty good story analysis.
Yeah, we mix rants with education, conversation, and, knowledge.
Knowledge is power. All right, so I did end up doing my homework, though, that you assigned me to watch The Wire, the first episode.
Uh-huh.
I ended up watching the first two. I did extra credit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was weird. It was weird to watch now because now they shoot. First off, I'll just say this to get this out of the way. The writing was fucking awesome. Mm-hmm. I really liked the dialogue they have with the detective and the kid in the very beginning that lasts like 3.5 or 5 minutes.
McNulty.
With McNulty, he's just sitting there and he's talking to the kid. That's just brilliant because you know what's going on, but at the same time, it's like you're kind of clueless at some points, but then you kind of fall back into it just because they're at a crime scene and you know that, but it's like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
But they're talking about it in a way that's not like, hey, let me tell you what just happened so we can talk about what just happened because we didn't show what just happened.
Mm-hmm.
It was like you just had to pick up on it. And I like that. I really like that style of writing a lot. Not making it so blatantly obvious to the viewer or whatever that this is exactly what's going on. And because that's an audiobook is what it feels like to me, is it just reads it to you. And like that's a horrible analogy. If you actually read the book yourself, you can actually pull out stuff for yourself. Well, you get what I'm saying, though, I think.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. But it was weird to watch because of the way it was shot. Because it was shot in 2002, the first episode. And that was when it was released. I don't know if that was when it was shot. But, I mean, it's full screen, though. It's not widescreen. It's not it's not profiled at all. It's just full screen. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I feel like I'm looking at a really long Instagram video, and that's a show that was recorded 13 or 14 years ago. At this point,
Yeah.
And if you look at the lighting in it, the lighting's really kind of ahead of its time at the point, I think, because they didn't light all of it flat, and they didn't light all of it more cinematic and more kind of emotional, but they kind of bounced between the two. Like when they were in the office, and it kind of made sense for it to be flat lit, they did flat light, so I guess that kind of makes sense. But when they were, kind of just shooting other stuff, there were points in times like when the female lead, I can't remember what her name is, she's up on top of the building. Watching the guy do the red hats and all. That felt like TV shooting to me. But there was a lot of points and times in there that felt more like cinema.
Yeah.
So I definitely dug on it. But I think it was a fucking epidemic of realizations of how much TV has kind of changed in the style of shooting. I mean, the way that I don't know, so like House of Cards is filmed right now. Mm-hmm. Like the lighting in that it's all shadows and it's different and it's nothing that would have been approved a while ago. It's just so out there, and it was always a separate bridge. Like cinema is shot this way and it's lit this way and it's acted in this way, and then TV is shot this way, lit this way, and acted in this way. So they kind of have their different parts that they were playing, and it's interesting to see now, looking back on something that's 13, 14 years old, how much that has actually changed. But yeah, I don't know if that's why you said that's your assignment for this week, but I did the shit out of it, so there you go.
And it's only gonna get better because I've watched all 5 seasons, and and I'll rank them right now in order of best to worst, okay? Just because I think this will be, like, exciting in a way, because you know, like, what you have in store for you. So I think season 4, the best. The best season, I think, of television I've ever seen. And that's insane. If you think about it, like, a show that's 5 seasons long, and season 4 is its best. Like, normally shows start to dip, right? And it's, fucking amazing, because it talks about the schools and the kids and how, you know, some of them try to get above the the drug trade and all that, but they get sucked in, and some do make it out, and the kids who you think aren't gonna make it out do, and like the kids you think have it, you know, it's, and everyone in between, it's crazy, great. Yeah. It's crazy, and those kids that, man, the actors were so amazing, and it was just a really awesome fucking season. And then season 3 is my next favorite season. So that's number 2 for me. And that was kind of about the drug war between kind of the main dealers that you've been growing up watching on the show versus like this new up-and-comer who, like, no one really knows who he is. He's kind of mysterious, and he's kind of just cold, and one of the scariest villains I've ever seen on fucking TV. Because he's a guy who could exist in real life. I'm not talking about some monster, some supernatural thing. I mean, he's a real person, but he has these cold eyes, and the way he just looks at people and then will just have someone killed without a thought. Like, there's even a time where they're like, hey, you think this kid may be a rat? And he's like, why take the chance? You know, it's not even evaluating if they think he will rat or if they think he won't rat. They're like, it's just easier to kill him. And then after season 3, which is also interesting because it follows the political aspects too. There's this mayor who's running, fucking idiot. He's running to be mayor, right? He's not the mayor. And you think, man, he's going to clean everything up, and he's like the new hope, you know, but you see all the stuff that he goes through and how politics is just messy, and what, you know, people like try to promise, you know, they can't really deliver on. And sometimes it's not always even the politician's fault, you know, like, but then they become jaded with the whole fucking show is about how the system is just fucked, right? And then so after those top 2, then season 1 is my third favorite, you know? Okay. So season 1 which when I first watched season 1, I thought, man, this is really fucking good. It took me a little bit to get into it, not because I had such high expectations, meaning that the first few episodes were slow or bad, but I just thought, I heard this was the greatest show on television, and so far a few episodes in, it's like I dug it, but I'm not blown away. You know?
I wasn't blown away either, so that's why I was like, yeah.
It builds though. After season 4, I mean, even before season 4, but definitely after season 4, you're like, how can I watch regular television again, you know? And then season 5 was, you know, it was all right. It was good. It wrapped everything up. It wasn't disappointing. So for like a final season, I think it held its own. And then season 2 was when I watched it, I didn't dig it as much because it kind of, you know, this is kind of how The Wire works, where it's a really ensemble cast. And each season they make it a new focal point. They'll still have the same characters from the series in it, but then they'll introduce new characters, and then they'll focus more on a different area. So season 2 is that when it first makes that switch, and after you know, by the end of season 1, you're loving the characters, you're loving the show, then it changes, and you're like, I don't know if I like this change, you know? And it's overall, I think unanimously season 2 is looked on as the least favorable one. But still, after looking back at the series as a whole, I still think season 2 was a good season of television. It's just, in compared to the other 4 seasons, it's, you know, less. But it's still an important season to watch. So it's like, you know, just power through it and know that once you get through season 2, the next 2 seasons are going to be the most amazing fucking seasons of television you've ever watched. You know?
I have such a hard time doing that with TV. Like, just spend like 6 or 7 hours watching this stuff, and then it's gonna be worth it. And I'm just like, no,
it's not that, but it's not that it's pain. Like, I wouldn't say it's painful. Like, McNulty's still around. And I mean, it's interesting. It's just they focus a lot on these guys who work at the docks. They're like a bunch of white, like low collar, like blue collar dudes. And you know, you're like, I was in the hood. Like I missed the hood. You know, you're like, why am I dealing with these Polish, like, you know, dock workers? You know, like fuck these people. But it does get interesting because they go into like the source of the drugs, right? Like the drugs come in through the docks from these like I don't know, Serbian or Russian, or I can't remember who they are, right? But and that's who they give them to the drug dealers, you know. So now you're seeing kind of the source with season 2. But no, season 1's amazing. It introduces some of the greatest television characters ever. You know, like Bubs, the fucking junkie, you know, who's like trying his best, but he's addicted to like heroin and stuff, right? And then McNulty, who is one of the best anti-heroes, I think, because he, you know, like as a person, like he's a shit person, right? He's an alcoholic, you know, he's kind of like a womanizer, whatever. Like he's not someone you'd look up to as a person. But then when you see this system, right, of like the police force and how everything's fucked and the bureaucracy, and they're like, hey, we got these drug dealers, we have a wire on them, they're murderers, we know we can get them, we got to just go in now. And they're like, we can't like we want to solve murders, you know, but these people are the catalysts of it. They're like, no, we're shutting this operation down. Like they don't care. So like the people in charge keep getting in the way, and McNulty is like the underdog, the hero who is actually trying to do the right thing when it comes to the, you know, the big stuff that matters, you know, like these drug dealers killing people and stuff like that. But when it comes to his own life, he's a kind of a piece of shit. So I like
it seems
that.
like the only person who really gave a shit about like bad stuff that was happening in the show. Everyone else is like, not your job, shouldn't have been your problem. And
Yeah,
they made it your job. Yeah.
No, but then
what season ended? What season of TV or what movie ended? And you liked the rest of it, but just the way it ended, it just fucking killed it for you.
Killed it.
And why? Like go into the kind of character story and all.
I guess one that stands out because I'm thinking off the top of my head because, you know, so it's difficult because I'm very picky when it comes to shows. So a lot of times I don't even get that chance because most of the shows that I watch, you know, I think are so good that, you know, they don't have a fucking terrible ending. You know, it's, you know, I don't watch, like I tell people I don't really watch TV. I watch HBO and, you know, that's pretty much it. But I guess one show that, if I have to say, was the most weird because it was such a great show all the way through, and how it ended, I was kind of like, meh, you know, was probably The Sopranos.
Yeah.
Because I just felt like it was some sort of pretentious move on the, you know, the showrunner, you know, where he's like, have you seen The Sopranos? You know how it ends or anything? All right. Well,
you go ahead and ruin it. Spoilers.
It's a spoiler, but it's not really a spoiler that matters because the ending doesn't matter. It's a fucking great show. Like, I definitely recommend the show. Every episode is pretty solid, but the ending is just, you're following this, again, anti-hero, Tony Soprano, who's, you know, he's a family man, he's a mob guy, whatever, and you follow his arc throughout the whole show, and it ends, they killed their main antagonist, they, you know, pulled the hit on him, they killed the guy, everything seems okay, and then Tony's having dinner with his family, you know, he hasn't, like, seen everyone in a while because the kids are away at school or whatever, and so they're all coming one by one, and they're building it up, right? It's long takes. Meadow, his daughter, is like trying to parallel park the car for like 20 minutes. You know, it's like slowly building, and then like someone comes in and he looks up because he hears like the, you know, the bell chime for like the entrance of the diner. And he like looks up like who's there because he's like paranoid. You know, one of his best friends was killed. You know, another guy is in a coma. So because they just had this big mob war. and they won it, but he's still uncertain if some guy's going to come out of the woodwork and kill him. And they kind of just slowly build the show, and then, his daughter finally parks the car, and then right as you see the door open to the diner, and you don't know if it's daughter or not because it's like a POV shot, I think. And then it cuts to Tony's reaction, and he looks up, and then it cuts to black. And normally, like, there'd be music and the credits or whatever. And the joke was, like, a lot of people, when they first saw it, thought their cable went out or their HBO went out or whatever.
Oh.
And so they're like, what the fuck? And then after, like, a beat, then the credits roll. So they end it with, like, basically you don't know what happens. Did someone show up and kill? Like, is that him being killed? Or is it just an, inconclusive end? Or is it, like, now that's just him, like, the rest of his life. He's got to always look over his shoulder. So I guess in one way it's cool that they do leave it up to you where you can kind of make the ending whatever you want. But the vibe that I got from it was that the showrunner was just trying to be like, oh, I'm not predictable. So, you thought either everyone who thought he was going to get killed at the end would be like, I knew it. Or everyone who thought he was going to live would be like, I knew it. So this way I beat everyone because you don't know what the fuck happened. Aha, I win. And then I'm just like, dude, just make a good story and, like, just end it, Like, I think sometimes cliffhangers can be cool. I'm not like an idiot. I don't need everything written out for me. I don't need, I do like a little ambiguity, but this just seemed like so forced. I guess that's what it is, right? It's like the ending was so obviously trying to be ambiguous that it almost like took me out of it, And
yeah.
So,
I hate when you can see the writers or the editors of the director, anybody's hand in the film.
Yeah,
It's
like what was going through their head. They're like, "Oh, this'll get them," And you're like, "Dude, just make a good story. Who cares about getting the audience?" That's why I don't like twists. I think that I'm not opposed to them, but if you're just building up a movie to have like a twist at the end, it's just why. I would much rather have the twist happen 15 minutes into the movie and then see how the character deals with that dramatic situation, right?
That's all it's really about anyway.
That's why I think Moon is one of my favorite movies. Have you seen that?
Yeah, dude, we talked about that last time.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
God. All right. I was drinking a lot of wine, and I talked about this stuff with a lot of people, so it gets blurred a little bit.
Fair enough.
But anyways, what about you? What was a show that had a letdown ending for you?
I don't know. I guess I'd say the biggest letdown ending, maybe because I love the show so much, was Wilfred. Did you ever see that?
I did. I haven't seen the whole thing though.
Yeah. So in the first season, they kind of built it up a lot. Like Elijah Wood plays a character named Ryan, and he can basically see this character named Wilfred, who is a dog, but he sees him as a human instead of seeing him as a dog. And their lives kind of blend together, and they just start hanging out all the time. And the first season was really cool. And I think every episode in there was really wonderfully done. And then the second season, you could tell when they were writing episodes, when they were just like, you can tell they were writing episodes when they were just like, let's see what happens if we do this, because we can't move the plot along, because if we do that, then we're going to be, I don't know, cutting ourselves short a season or something like that. I think there was 3 seasons, and I think 3 or 4, I can't remember. But there's it was 4. Ah, shit. Yeah, it was 4 seasons.
See, that's not really a good sign right there.
Well, I watched it quite a few times, but I don't know. Every episode I've seen quite a few times, but it's been a while since I've gone back to it. I haven't really spent too much time watching TV or anything like that. I mean, we got rid of our old TV and everything. It was a nice TV, but I mean, it was just like, need to focus on doing other stuff. And
Definitely.
now I watch on my laptop from time to time, but like not very much. But the way they ended Wilfred was um, they had built up this idea about like, well, what is Wilfred, and like he's got this good side and this bad side, and then one of the main actors ended up leaving to go to do this other show is called like Under the Glass or something like that, or Under the Dome. That's what it was. It was basically a TV show based on the Simpsons movie, where they just took a dome, put it over an entire town, and they're like, "Oh, okay, now we're all fucked." So, he went to go do that. Then they had to swap out the main villain with somebody else, and they didn't do the greatest job kind of transitioning that, which I think they could have. But the ending of what is Wilfred, why is he, why can Ryan see him, why can nobody else see him and all, it didn't really leave you with any sort of explanation. It just kind of happened, and in a weird way, I guess I'm kind of satisfied with the ending, because when it ended, I still didn't really know what was going on. But not knowing what was going on in Wilfred it's just becomes so common that I don't know. It feels like that is the show itself. You kind of don't really understand it all the way, and that's a show that doesn't exactly spell everything out for you. So if they would have, I don't know, not just clarified, but they shot it really well. But the way that he handled his emotional breakdown before and after Wilfred, well, never mind. Before the very end of the show and the final kind of end plot point, it just didn't seem like him. It seemed like they were writing a show to kind of be like, hey, we got to finish this up, write it up. Okay, we're good. Okay, push it along. It seemed hurried.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That was my show. I just totally blanked.
Well, I would say that The Wire doesn't do any of those things. And that,
yeah, but I have a feeling it's not as much of a psychological little mind fuck. Like I do like the sci-fi shows like a lot.
Yeah,
I do, and that is Wilfred falls into a sci-fi category in a weird way, and neuro science fiction.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, no, I mean that's why I think as we've discussed before, Battlestar Galactica, the updated version, is another one of my favorite shows. I think that's probably like tied with The Wire, really. That and then, probably then every other like HBO series. I mean, like, oh god, was the True Detective another fucking amazing show?
Yeah.
And also like Game of Thrones a lot. Boardwalk Empire was pretty good. I mean, man, fucking HBO just like kills it with everything they do. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I don't even think it's always just like the money that they throw into it. I think it's the fact that they don't have to be beholden to sponsors, right? Like regular television. Right. Cable in itself isn't really censored. Like cable, they can say, fuck and all that stuff, because it's not like the FCC controls it. But because they have to have commercials and people like, pay them money, that's how they get their money is through the advertisement. Sponsors will pull stuff from them because they're like, oh, this isn't going to be like family friendly and people are going to watch your shows, therefore they're not going to watch our advertisement. Whereas HBO just cuts all that bullshit out and is just like, we're going to just make a show for our audience and our audience will pay to see it. It's
really the only, it's really, I mean, they just switched over to that HBO Now stuff and all, but I mean, that's really like the highest level of online entertainment now, kind of, because YouTube is kind of like anybody can submit anything you want, and Vimeo's kind of like, well, you can submit anything you want, but it's a place for really professional people, and then HBO seems to kind of be like a studio about that. So I was doing some math on finances and stuff, and I'm trying to figure out. I'm going to be switching up to the Canon C100 pretty soon. They just dropped the price of it by like another $1,000, so it's only $3,000 now. I think I'm going to be picking that up in the near future, but I want to know what's the next. As a writer, there's no real way to be like, I'm buying better equipment for writing. Like you just kind of have to do it. So what's something like, if you were to invest in your writing, like what do you invest in instead of tools and all?
Oh man, for writing, it's really just it's investing time, I guess, into finding those kind of shows that have just done it right. Like, something, we joke about, like, the time and stuff with, like, oh man, I just blew away like a month of my life watching every single episode of Battlestar Galactica, back to back to back. Or like, oh, I remember that one day where I watched 5 episodes of The Wire in one sitting, and that was just 5 straight hours of just only watching The Wire. As much as it is important, I think, to go out and get away from the TV and to interact and have a life of your own, I do think that is. People have this reverence for books and stuff, and there's some sort of thing where, like, oh, well, you're not pissing away your life when you're reading. And I think maybe some of that is attributed to the fact that there's, since there's not as much of a mass consumption of literature, and normally literature is held in higher regard, then people don't see it as pissing away time. But, for me, I always say this, whether it's about, a cartoon or anime or, live action movie or a book, it all starts as words on a piece of paper. All right? There's no difference in that. Sure, maybe the form is a little different. In writing, you can get better inside of a character's head. But at the end of the day, if we're talking about like conflicts, character development, character arcs, all of that stuff, it can be covered in any end form. It's just how the director or the overall creator wants to share that work and share that story. They're all stories. So that's why I think, yeah, you can waste your time watching terrible television. You can also waste your time reading a terrible novel. I'm not going to shit on 50 Shades of Grey again because, like you said, I didn't read it or watch it, and I already covered that before. But I just want to throw that out there briefly, that's obviously, probably along the same lines. So, how do I kind of hone my skills in terms of a storyteller? I watch other great storytellers do their job. And yes, it is to a degree, it's a matter of opinion. Some people just can't get past like sci-fi stuff. They're like, I can't relate to this. This isn't real. And for me, I'm kind of like, well, that's unfortunate because I think all that matters in terms of reality is a character, a person. Because at the end of the day, whether they're in space or they're on Earth, there's stories of love, conflict, hatred, all these deep emotions that's what matters. But I understand some people, they have a block against sci-fi, whatever. So that's why like a show like Battlestar Galactica will lose out. Or, maybe
you're still very upset about that.
Well, yeah, I am, because I can't say that as like, it doesn't have the same reverence as like, Shakespeare. But
no, it does not.
It does not, but it's still a damn better television show than 90% of the stuff that has been or is or will ever be, I think. And then, you know, there's other stuff like, you know, animes, cartoons, where people just can't get the fact that they're not real people. And I think that's really what it is since shows are, you're trying to relate to it, you know, it's supposed to be an adaptation of real life. That's supposed to be, you know, suspension of disbelief. Is that even though I know that these are actors, they act so well, they become those characters so well that I can get lost in the story and I can enjoy it. And then I can believe that I'm watching something real. Obviously, when it comes to a cartoon or an anime, it's a lot harder to pull that suspension of disbelief because you're obviously seeing something that's not real right in front of you. So therefore, people have a block against it. But I try to fight back because I'm all about the original source material, which is, again, the written word, right? It's a script. A cartoon and a live-action movie both start out as scripts, you know?
Right, but then the director takes it and the actors take it the way that they want to take it and the way they want to do it.
Exactly.
And the editor cuts the script without really any words. He just cuts it the way he wants to cut it.
Yeah, sure.
And
it changes it, but I think at its heart, it still has as potential to be just as good, or, you know, because, well, like, to me, it's all about the story, you know, and the characters. And that's what I do, is I just try to find those kind of shows where I'm just like, where I just think I could never write something that good. You know, like, the amount of characters, it's so hard to pull off a good ensemble piece, because to be able to have the, not only the time, but, you know, asking your audience to devote the time to care about each character. You know, it's hard enough writing one dynamic character, and then you have all these stock characters around them, but at least you can focus on one, develop him. But if you're going to develop like 10 people or 15 or 20, you know, and make them all seem real, like, that's 20 times harder, I think, than writing, you know, for every dynamic character you have. It just blows me away. Like, I'm so humbled by those kind of shows like Battlestar and The Wire, you know, and I think Game of Thrones did it as well, and Boardwalk Empire. They have so many big characters that just draw people in. And it's amazing. I'm still blown away. I think I'm a good writer, but I don't think I could write a series that would have like 20 main characters that you would just fall in love with.
They're all taking their own storyline, and they're all just as believable. And
yes. And ones
because
where,
while
like,
the actors have to portray that, I mean, you have to create that.
You have to create the original stuff for them to work off of. And a lot of times I'll see shows where they're like, okay, this seems like something like, because sometimes you're watching something more detached than like the creators, and you almost can get a better sense of a character than maybe even the creator has, because you're not beholden to a plot or to where the story's going. You just are witnessing someone, just like when you meet someone in real life and you're like, oh, this is probably what they're like, you know, even though you're going by just guesses. But a lot of times when you meet enough people, it starts to become more and more accurate. So that's the same thing when you're watching a show, and then you sometimes see a show where they'll make a character do something because that needs to happen for plot progression, or for the story to unfold, and then you're like, that guy wouldn't have done that, or and that gets really frustrating. And I feel like some of those shows that I've listed before do a really good job of staying true to the characters, where sometimes, like, they'll kill off a beloved character, and some people might say, oh, well, they did it for shock value or to surprise the audience. Maybe that's true sometimes, but there's other times where, like, I think they just do it because the writers are like, this character's been in so many situations where they just get out by, like, the nick of time, and, after a while it's like, no, their luck would run out. In real life, no one is that, no one's like Jason Bourne or James Bond. Like, eventually the henchman is going to kill the person, or whatever, the situation is. That's just, it's what happens. And I like when they're adventurous enough to go against the grain, Not that going against the grain makes a good story, because you got to have a lot more ingredients, but it's at least respectful. And I think I've even said before too, where like I have a lot more respect for a movie or a show that maybe at its core I'm like, that's not like the greatest thing I've ever seen, but because it was its own thing, something different, something new, I at least have some amount of more respect for it.
So then that's kind of a way, because when you watch, I know just from experience that you don't watch and get lost in it too much. Like you're really thinking about everything that's actually happening and what's being said and the context in which it's being delivered and shit that I'm not even crossing my mind. I mean, I can watch SpongeBob and probably just get into the story. I mean, that's not where my area of expertise lies at all. So I don't usually ever question as a character themselves. I'm never usually thinking about somebody as a character themselves. I'm thinking about where's the story going.
Ah.
But which is kind of childish in that way. But I'm also looking at the light and shit. So that is still kind of childish. But so you do that. But what else do you do to keep the skills as a writer? I mean, there's a part of it that you can like walk away from, and then you can kind of come back to, and all. But I mean, do you write daily or weekly or anything like that, or how do you sharpen up or keep your skills sharp?
I probably should. I remember taking that is write daily or write frequently. I remember taking a screenwriting class where the professor had this exercise where we were supposed to write in a notebook every day, just like a couple pages or whatever. And it didn't matter what we wrote. He was like, you could write, I have nothing to talk about right now. I have nothing coming into my head. He's like, just keep writing, because it was like some sort of exercise, just to keep our minds thinking or whatever. And I kind of saw what he was doing there is kind of trying to like unleash the creativity and stuff. And so that way you didn't try to like force it when you would maybe sit down in front of a screenplay, because it's more like second nature. Right. But I don't know. I guess I just I'm too lazy for that. Maybe.
You seem to go in bursts, though.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. When I'm writing about something I'm really like into, I could spend hours on it. It's without breaking. So it's not that I'm lazy as a whole. It's just when I'm on something in the moment that excites me, then I'll keep going with it. But making myself want to stick with it is what's more difficult. I don't know. I just feel
so like once you open up Word and you start, or Celtics or whatever you use, and you start typing, it's like at that point you're good to go. But like getting back into it, because it's hard to just write because I know it's hard to edit and just like not swap out to anything else. Yeah, no, I mean it can be draining after a while, but I just feel like I'm so in touch with that, with my inner thoughts, and like kind of coming up with characters more so than even storylines. Like maybe I'll come up with a vague storyline, but then I'll focus on the characters, and it's kind of like throwing my trust into these characters that I've imagined that somehow a story will evolve from them. And that's why I always write character-driven stories. But, I don't know. It's when I have, like, a good idea or a good story, it's really easy for me to just pick up the computer, open up, a Celtics document, and just start writing. So I feel like even if I'm away from it, like, it doesn't become lost from me. And I think because a lot of it also plays into, your regular life. Like, I'm really good, I think, at, like, kind of talking with people. And maybe, like, not everyone will like me a lot, per se. But I think I'm pretty good at not making enemies, because I know how to play to a crowd, in a way. Like, that's almost kind of like a comedic a mindset of a stand-up comedian, where I look at like the people that I'm with,
and I can judge their character, their personalities, and then I kind of know how to associate with them, almost like chameleon-esque in a way. Not that I'm being phony, because I think that everyone has a really deep down a broad spectrum of personality. So it's not that I'm just pretending to be something I'm not. It's that I'm, kind of more honing in on one side of my personality. And that's why, like, all of my friends are kind of different from each other. That all of my friends wouldn't necessarily hang out with each other or probably even want to hang out with each other. But it's because I know how to make friends with multiple kinds of people. And I think that's helped my writing, really. And the reason why I like making friends with multiple kinds of people is because I think that's more interesting. It's cool to be with people who have a similar mindset as you, because then you have similar interests and you can build off that. But it's also interesting to be with people who are opposite of you, because then you can really learn about maybe why some of the things you think maybe aren't valid, or it will sharpen up why you actually believe in what you believe, and then you kind of have someone to argue with in a more friendly kind of way. And I'm one of those people where, like, I'll have ideas and I'll have strong passions about certain things, but then I'm also really open with admitting that I might be stupid or ignorant on lots of subject matters. So I like talking to people, about things where I'm like, I kind of have this stance, but then if they're opposed to it, I'll like listen to what their reasoning is, and I'll be like, oh, that kind of makes sense to me. I could see why you would think that. Instead of just getting defensive automatically and being like, I have to appear smart, I have to debate them, And so I think that's why I've been able to develop a variety of friends, and I think that in turn helps me write stories, because stories involve a variety of people. So if you don't have different people in your life, different kinds of people in your life, how can you ever truly write a real story, with real people?
Yeah, I guess you need a lot of those experiences and everything, but at the same time, well, I guess you think about famous writers and stuff, you think about them going into seclusion to go write, but it's not like they were in seclusion their entire lives for the most part. Like, they had to have some experiences, they had to actually live, they had to actually do something.
Yeah.
In order to formulate all those. Yeah.
But also maybe I'm different from a lot of writers too. I maybe I have a more simple form, whereas a lot of other people maybe are more creative, where they could just be a complete loner and just imagine characters and stuff like that. Whereas, like, I do a lot of the quote-unquote write what you know, which is actually supposed to be, like, the easiest kind of form, But, I think I'm good at doing that. So that's what I do. It's fun though. It's an outlet for me. As much as I would love to create something that was made into something or be published or whatever you want to say. Like, for me, it's just it's like going out to a bar, or whatever, like just having fun with friends. It's a creative outlet.
Something you need to get out of your system. You
just
need to write the stuff down and all. Has there been any ideas that you've had that you haven't written about, or you haven't, like, that you've really wanted to pursue? And I want to ask you about your meeting with Tim with Freebooters, because I want to know what's going on with that now.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I guess we'll do that. I guess we're going to do that first.
Okay. Yeah, I met with him, and I showed him the promo now as is, and he liked it. But he didn't seem like necessarily blown away. I don't know though. I don't think that was necessarily a reflection on the promo itself. I think it's more of a reflection of like where he's at in his mindset, because I know he's getting ready to move. He's gonna be moving to a cheaper area. His rent right now is like $500 a month, and he said he's going somewhere that's $300 a month.
Oh my god!
And I'm just like, oh man,
pay $300 a month in rent or $500, dude. That's half my rent.
I know, and So part of me is like nervous for him in that regard because like I know he can't be moving to a good neighborhood. I mean, Chicago's not exactly the safest city in the world, and if you're going somewhere where you only have to pay $300 a month, that can't be the safest place in the world. So I don't know, but he's I don't want to like say too much because I'm afraid that a lot of it's just speculation, and he's also not here to, defend himself. So like,
I was just wondering about your guys' next step about what you're doing.
No, I know. I'm just always taking it farther. I'm always taking it to like, because we always do butt heads a lot. And that's what a lot of times, it taking it farther kind of thing has to deal with. I think that I think we're both very controlling when it comes to something that's ours, or maybe things in general. And I think it's just hard for those two types of stubborn people to work together. And I think, he just... I don't know. I know that like we have different ideals and we're at really different places in life, and I think that there's some maybe I don't know. I think he just maybe wants to do his own thing too. I think now this is again just speculation. So I don't want to say that he's totally like this, but I feel like part of him doesn't want to give me as much credit as maybe I deserve for like the story, and because I remember when we were talking about it earlier, and when I months ago when I first showed him kind of where I was at with the promo, and he was really excited about it again, even though he hadn't been talking to me for a couple months because he was mad at me for whatever bullshit reason we had, like not even a fight, but we were just working on something, and he was just not as interested and left. And I think he knew that I looked down at him for leaving, and then he was mad at me for like being disappointed. So then he didn't even want to talk to me because he was afraid that he would sense disappointment in my tone and be infuriated by that. Because I think that he kind of...
Jesus, it's like the fucking Kardashians up in here. My God.
No, I know, but... So, yeah, you're right. So, long bullshit short, I just think that we're just different people, and that I think we have our own issues with each other that we probably need to resolve, but we always just never want to really talk about it.
Yeah. So are you guys going to make the show?
What all it's really like dependent on is me really being able to find a graphic designer who would really want to collaborate with me. And this is whether Tim wants to stay involved or not want to stay involved. Either or, this still needs to happen. We still need to make our own backdrops, and we still need to make it ours entirely. And so once that happens, if it happens, then we can move further. And
right.
Whether that is with or without Tim, I don't know. But nonetheless, that needs to happen first.
Yeah. Yeah, so you got to either hire out or find a graphic designer to do some spacecraft work in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, fuck. I just want to see this thing happen. I just do.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that it has a lot of potential and that it would build a fan base. Whether how big that is, I don't really even give a shit. But I think that other people would like it. And that's the main reason why I want to make it. But it's just, it's hard when like a lot of it's on you to do everything.
Yeah.
And then when the one person that you're collaborating with, you butt heads with a lot. And then when you also have a full-time job and you also want to see your friends and family and juggle all of those things is it is difficult.
Friends and family are overrated. Just do your art.
Yeah. Okay. And just quit your job while you're at it too. Just rob banks or something.
Yes. Oh God, that'd be awesome. We would just quit our jobs and rob banks. That'd be. Actually, you know what? We could do that.
We could do it. Yeah.
Could we? Do you think we could pull off a bank heist?
No, I mean I just meant we could attempt it. I mean, like we
could definitely attempt.
We could get away with it.
Wouldn't go as far as to say we'd get away with it, but we could try it.
I actually probably shouldn't be saying these kind of things because I kind of essentially work for. It's not a bank, but it's a financial institution.
Everything is a fucking financial institution.
They don't like to use the word bank because bank has negativity associated with it. But a credit.
Oh, does it?
But we do the same things in a sense that a bank does in terms of like we have checking accounts, we offer credit cards, we offer mortgages, car loans.
Yeah, it sounds like a bank.
Yeah, but there's it's what they call it is the umbrella term is a financial institution, and then it branches off into banks and credit unions, and credit unions actually are a lot better. We're not.
But for the record,
profit.
But for the record, you don't want to go rob any banks right now.
Not yet. I'm not at that point of desperation yet. I don't know. I just really want to get to the point to make like stupid amounts of money, but not for like the most reasons that other people want to make stupid amounts of money. To buy like lots of luxury things and stuff like that. For me, it's more just to be able to like do what I want. Like that's why I would want to have stupid amounts of money.
But what if you just reverse that around? So like you don't work a job where you make stupid amounts of money, but you do make your films where you make mediocre amounts of money, but you're still making your films.
I would take that, but I don't think that I could necessarily just go off and make mediocre amounts of money and work on my things. I think you got to know someone first. You got to have some sort of connection.
You do. It's so fucking sickening, too, because you see it out here all the time, and you meet anybody, you talk to anybody, and the first thing is, oh, hey, what do you do? And it's like, what do you do to help me get ahead in my industry? It's everywhere. And so I just stopped asking people that question altogether. And if they want to tell me what it is, then later, that's cool. I think I had one of the guys who helped color grade The Wolf of Wall Street hanging out in our house. But like he was another individual who was like that. It was just like, oh, yeah, well, I did that. But no, I just like shaping bows for like bows and arrows. Like that's what I like to do. And just leave it at that. Because it's a lot. I don't know. It's annoying just how much everyone wants to get ahead and they don't give a fuck who they step on when they do it. Mm-hmm. And it can be at a lower level and it can be at a higher level. It happens. It doesn't matter. Everyone's still trying to advance to some point. And it's just kind of sickening. And it kind of just makes me want to do movies the way we did that tour, but financially successful.
Yes.
Yeah, that part would be helpful.
Yeah.
Which I think we can do. I think we could. I do think we could do that. And I have a couple plans, but I don't know. It could. I guess the real question is: can you be a fucking filmmaker that is not the traditional filmmaker in Vancouver, in Los Angeles, in Orlando, in I guess Louisiana now, and Atlanta? Like, can you do that and still be able to make money? It's like, well, yes, of course you can, but then it's like, well, I can't do it. It's like, well, that doubt creeps in, and it's like, well, why? Why can't I do it? What's the reason I can't do it? Because it doesn't make any sense when you think, well, everything's happening over there, and then we're uploading it to wireless servers that are just distributing all this content online. So why can't we do it? Mm-hmm. I think it just kind of brings up a different conversation of what's the reason that you can't do it? What's the reason that you're so special that you can't? And I have to ask that. I ask it to myself all the time too. Because I'm going to stay out in LA for a while longer, and my entire intent while I'm out here is just to learn. That's all my intent is out here anymore. Like I have no other goals out here aside from just learn, like as much as you possibly can from whoever you can, and just about shooting, and then kind of take that and see where we can go and see what we can do with it. Because I mean, it almost makes sense to juxtapose the what's being done usually is how, I mean, people end up selling things anyway. It almost makes sense to juxtapose, well, this one's different, so I want to check out this one, or I want to watch this one, because it's not like everything else. I mean, you see that. That's why there used to be the T-shirt ads on Facebook, like, oh, these T-shirts, designer these T-shirts and this and that, and it's like, and even now it's still around. It's dying out more and more than it originally was, but the secret diet pill is so you can lose like 800 pounds in 14 minutes and like all this extra crazy shit, and they just keep changing the way that you make people click on it. So what does a YouTuber or what does somebody on Vimeo have to do in order to set themselves apart enough so that people click on them, so that people watch, so that people give a shit? And I mean, yes, after they click, it's all on you. It's all on you as a filmmaker to hold them there. But we're kind of in a fight for the click.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's hard because there's so much shit out there now. You know, like
but that shouldn't make it hard, though. You know?
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't, because if there's so much shit out there, then there should be a good amount of stuff that rises above.
Yeah, but finding that is difficult when you first thing you go on and there's all these things being uploaded every day. Like, even if a gem is made, how's it going to get recognized? Like, there's, edge rank or whatever that, attributes to views and clicks. So it's kind of like, for it to get a lot of views, it has to be good. But for it to get, good, it's got to have a lot of views, or, it's kind of like a cycle, you know what I mean? Where, when they all start out at the same level with being just as good a chance of anyone running across it, but there's so many things that just gets overwhelmed, it gets lost, I think. So even like the gems, so part of the thing like YouTube and Vimeo is great that it gives like indie filmmakers a voice and gives them accessibility to an audience. But the problem is now when there's so much stuff going on, it's like filtering through that becomes a task in of itself. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've done stuff where I've seen other people rip off that have like already had a following on YouTube because they had a built-up channel or whatever, and then they can just rip off other people that no one knows about, and so they'll just get those views too. I mean, yeah. I don't know how you. It would be nice if you had. As big of a chance of gaining a following as anyone else, and then it just relied on like your own content. But the fact is there's just too many people creating stuff that I don't even know how it happens. I don't know how something is initially found for the chance to go viral. I mean, I know why certain videos go viral after the fact, because they're like entertaining or good or whatever, but like how does it get to like that first level of recognition?
Well, it's done through different social media platforms. So, like, somebody will start a community. I have an idea about how I want to do this for Edge of Grip, and I'll kind of give away right now, like, some of the ideas of what I'm thinking about and everything. But, I mean, if you can kind of start a community, kind of start a tribe of people who are all about that certain idea that you're kind of portraying in this movie or in this TV series, and if you can build that up, then where can you build that up? Well, you can find people who want to do stuff like that, who want to see things like that in narrow scopes of social media. So like on Reddit, on Facebook, I mean, there's ways to search through what people like and what they don't like, and if it applies to what you're doing. and in Twitter search is insane. Like, you can just go on Twitter and search a series of words and see everybody who's been tweeting about that for far too long, then farther than your thumbs would be able to scroll. So if that's the case, then it's not a problem of finding an audience anymore. It's not a problem of even building an audience anymore, because it's not a problem to build an audience.
Well, but
I
then
think that you can find that's right. I think that you can find your own niche people, but you have to think about, where are they? Where are the people who like would love to be able to see this film? And I don't think that's bad advertising, because bad advertising is trying to shove shit in your face. And this isn't trying to shove shit in anyone's face. It's trying to say, hey, you like this? We like this too. And we actually put together something that's a lot like this. You might really like it. You know?
Yeah. But doesn't, like, kind of what you said also serve the other end of the argument, where it becomes immensely difficult when you said that you can search through people who tweeted about certain words and it goes farther back than your thumbs could scroll? Like, doesn't that then mean that if a bunch of people tweeted something, you tweet something, and then like 40 other thousand people tweet that, now yours is down at the bottom here, and
no, because I think I see where you're going with it. But what I'm saying is, like, say I wrote a book on screenwriting, which I would never do because I don't know shit about screenwriting. But say I wrote a book on it, and it was about how to get over block in your, just mentally, like how to develop a character to the point where you need them to, or how to just get over like some brain fog that you can't get through. And I could go on Twitter and I could search for trouble with screenplay, and or problems writing screenplay, or people who are having issues searching like on with like writing their screenplay. And you can just search for anybody who's tweeted about that, and anyone who has, you can message them and talk to them and say, hey, I have something for you, and it might actually really add value to your life. This isn't something where it's like I'm trying to say, oh, hey, buy this thing. It's like, no, there's like, to anybody who's walking past, it's, hey, you're having trouble with this, and this is something I've been working on for a while now, and I think it might add value to your life. And I think that when you hit people up to intentionally add value to their life, I don't think it's ever spam type stuff. I think it's like, if it's something that's really going to benefit you, then there's no reason to be pissed off or upset about it. And there's a guy who just launched a screenwriting course who just did that same thing, and that's kind of how he built up his following and his tribe of people who could all rally with him and be like, this is what we're all about. So I think it's important. I think it's detrimental now to have not cliques of people who are into things, but tribes of people who are like, I'm interested in this and I support this and this is kind of what I'm about. And everybody has that type of thing, you know, like everybody has that type of thing where they're like, this is my own thing that really does it for me, and I would love to support this. And maybe that thing might be their cable bill, but they're still saying, this is the thing that I'm all about, and this is all I want to do, and I support this. And so people are deciding to support different things and voting with their dollars for where they want stuff to go. But I don't think that the independent film community has done a great job with being able to find a way to get out and say, hey, I have found my tribe of people who agree with the same type of things that I do, and they're interested in the same type of stuff, and build a community around that. I think video schools have done that really well. Like there's a video school that just launched with, and Gnarly Bay is a contributor to it, and they're some of the best filmmakers I've ever seen. And I mean, it has about like 8,000 people sign up for it in a matter of like 2.5 weeks. And I don't know. But on the video side, I don't think people have done a great job when doing that, and I think it could be a lot better.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're interested in, you know? It's like we're interested in making our film and we're interested in getting it out to a degree, but it's like, no, I had the fun and I got what I was looking to get out of it after I made the final cut, and I watched it on my computer and I was like, okay, there's no mistakes in there or anything like that. I like the way it flows. It looks great. Now I'm done with it. And you're done with it mentally in your mind. But you didn't give anybody else the opportunity to do that. Just like with you with writing the script. So I think that's something that people in indie film really need to kind of get a hold on. And they will. Because, I mean, finding your own group of people who support exactly what you're doing is not hard to do these days.
Well, because of social media, I guess.
Social media, mostly, yeah, the internet overall, but social media is the start.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know. I guess I haven't spent enough time like searching that out or seeing like how that would help me or benefit me, because I'm just kind of like in this loop, you know, where it's like go to work, get back from work, then, you know, do stuff on the weekends and then repeat. And I do really love, you know, it's not like I'm saying like I'm in a drone or whatever. Like, I do like my job a lot, actually. Like, I love my coworkers and I do love what I do. So I'm not saying where it's like I'm in this loop as like a purely negative thing, but it just means that it's like harder to sometimes work on some of those other, you know, creative things that, you know, do involve a lot of time. Because it's like at the end of the week, you know, I am tired. Like Friday nights, usually I pass out on the couch. You know, I don't stay up late. I don't have the drive to go out most times, and I'm just hanging out watching TV or whatever. And so I don't know. It's just like finding that energy, and more importantly, finding that time, you know, is what makes it the most difficult, I think. That's what I like about writing. I mean,
good.
You know, I was saying that's what I like about writing is that you can kind of do it at any time, and I like writing late at night. And you can do it by yourself, or, you know, you can Skype with people and collaborate on things. But it's just, you know, then taking that the next step farther with making a video is such a big undertaking, you know, because you're also relying on other people, and then you have to have, you know, not only good storytelling skills, but organizational skills, which I do not have, because you got to organize people, you got to rally the troops, you know, you got to get everyone together, and that's what I'm failing at right now with freebooters the most, is getting other people together, you know, like.
And you feel like that's just because of time and energy? Are the main two reasons?
Yeah, I think, and I'm just disorganized in general. Even when I was just freelancing and I didn't work a lot, I was just kind of spacey, you know. I don't know. I gotta get my shit together, I guess.
But I mean, if you knew that you could build up a group of supporters to be able to kickstart the production aspect of freebooters, then, and you could do it if you put like an hour every 2 days into finding people over the next 6 months, would you do that?
I don't know.
I know. I'm not saying like for you particularly.
Yeah.
Like if like this happened for you, I'm just saying like I'm not saying in related to the freebooters case, because I know you've got other things you need to do before you do stuff like that.
But I think there's just like maybe I'm too cynical. Like maybe I have this too much of a defeatist stance where, you know, not cynical in the sense of like it becoming successful. Like I said, I don't even care about that. I'm talking about like it becoming made, you know, like finished product. Just like thinking that I could get to the point of organizing and finding the people. Like, if it already had happened, then I would devote a lot. I would find the time. I would give up my weekends, because I would love to work on this project. But it's different. I mean, in a sense, I guess it is all part of working on this project because it's all what needs to be done to have it made. But the actual, like, tangible, direct work on the project, I have no problem giving up all my free time on. And I was doing that when I was working on the promo. I mean, I would stay at work till 10 o'clock at night after working my entire shift, go home, get up at 6 a.m. the next day. I would eat dinner. I had 5 hours of sleep to myself and 1 hour of eating and cleaning up. That was about it. And I was fine with that. It's the finding the people to work on the project. It's the work to do the work that I'm more lazy about. And, because I just don't think that it's something that will happen. I mean, it's asking a lot. I don't expect people to be passionate about something that they had no creative involvement in.
Then how does anything good ever get made if like nobody's going to be passionate about it or want to really
because
be
people have
all about it?
Because people have money to buy other people to collaborate with them. It's not all about money, but it's about money to a degree. I mean, sure, maybe the initial conception of the idea lies within a passionate person, but to get all those other people on board, they don't all have the same equal amount of passion. In every movie, you'll see a shitload of people in the ending credits. They don't all have the same amount of passion.
No.
In that, and they shouldn't. I mean, I'm not even saying that that's a fault on them. It's not that they shouldn't, but it's like, okay, well, how do you get those people? Because that's what you need to make a movie, right? You need maybe not all those people to make an indie film, but you need more than just you.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? Maybe you can talk some people into being, a lot of actors are really cool where they just want to, act in something and they can get passionate, pretty easily. But when it comes to a lot of the crew stuff, I mean, I don't know, maybe some people can, but a lot of it is like, no, you need money to make that go forward, I think. I don't know, but maybe I'm just cynical.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously Kickstarter and Indiegogo, Rocket Hub, and stuff like that are all viable options for being able to generate that to be able to get other people to help out and everything.
That's true. I still need a graphic designer before I get to that.
No, I'm not, and I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about this idea in general of.
Why the fuck aren't we talking about? No, just kidding.
Because we're always talking about you. Ask me a question for fuck's sake.
How was your day, Matt?
My day. My day sucked. No, it was fine. But no, I'm saying as a filmmaker in general. Like, I'm not talking about your project. I'm not talking about Freebooters. I'm talking about, is this yes, it's obviously a viable option. But, I mean, and you see a lot of projects on there, but, I mean, with all the people who are going to film school and stuff, I mean, not everybody's getting a job in a local union or something like that and working as a grip or working as a gaffer or something. A lot of people just end up not being able to make the money they wanted to make, and they end up being like, oh, well, guess that's it. And,
yeah, but there's a lot of fucks in film school. Sorry, I just had to
There are a lot of fucks in film school.
Continue on with what you were saying. I just had to interject that.
But, I mean, if that's the case, then you'd expect to see a lot more... You'd expect to see a lot more people trying to kickstart their own projects if it's like you're taking people's money or something like that to some people. And a lot of people are like, I don't want to beg for money. I don't want to beg for this or for that or whatever. And it's like, motherfucker, if you had people who were like, I will give you $40, $50 for you to be able to make this series because this is going to mean something to me in some way, shape, or form, then you're providing them with a service that they actually want. it's not like you're begging for money, and it's not like you're out there just taking money from people.
No, that's bullshit.
So why are people not doing this more?
Well, first off, like, begging to me is when you're going up to individual people and pleading with them to give you something.
I think you're actually talking about the 1940s like style of begging with a hat. That's not really.
But I mean, if you're just making a post, I mean, that's not directed at anyone individually. That's people are stumbling upon this and seeing your idea and then deciding for themselves to throw money at it. So that's not begging at all, I don't think. I mean, if you're spamming people, if you're like getting a list of email addresses and sending them the Kickstarter link and, throwing it in their faces, then I think that would be begging. But if you're just posting it, and then other people come across it and then decide to give you money, and all you're doing is the one Kickstarter page or whatever, or even it's on multiple pages, Indiegogo, Kickstarter, whatever. But I mean, as long as you're creating it there, and not forcing it on anyone, I don't see how people could call that begging.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
I
it's because
I don't get that side of it, but I know that is what some people do think.
I've heard that too. But I think that's also because maybe people are jealous that they don't have a good idea themselves, that they know that even if they threw something out there, no one would give them money. So because of the fact that they know that they would fail at Kickstarter, therefore they have to create this idea that everyone who uses it then is a failure to some degree, even those who are successful. Well, it's like, oh, well, you begged. Yeah. It's like this way of them making themselves feel better. Fuck you, you do something, Like, there's enough critics. Why don't we have more people who, like, create stuff? I was about to say, why don't we have more creationists? And I'm like, I know, I don't want to use that word. Because that holds its own meaning. Why don't we have more creationists, God damn it? I'm like, no, I don't want to say that. but anyways.
It's a different conversation. It'd be like when we started talking about politics last time.
Yeah, that'll bring it home to God.
Bring it home to God. That's a film title if I ever heard one. I just don't get it, because like you just see so many people like come back and then just not do anything, and I'm kind of tired of seeing a lot of people, friends and all, not even do anything with like what they've learned and the abilities that they've kind of come across. Like you've written your like entire season of TV shows. It's not like you're not doing anything. I mean, but a lot of it, I just can't. I was thinking about that today, and I just can't fucking wrap my head around it.
I don't know. I think it's a lot easier to not do anything, for one.
It's a lot harder at the end of your life to know that you didn't do shit, though.
Yeah, but it's a different kind of way.
That.
It's a different kind of hard. It's like it's difficult in the sense of coming to terms with something, but it doesn't require any action or any risk taking. It's like you're already left with this, and now you're like, fuck, I fucking wasted my life. And that's hard to swallow, but I mean, that doesn't require any doing. What I mean is, like, it's so much easier to just not put yourself out there for criticism, or risk your time, your sweat in a project that is more than likely to fail. I mean, shit, even a lot of successfully studio run or backed motion pictures fail, flop. So it's like, that's with a whole crew of people who supposedly are at the top of their game or know what they're doing. So it's like, you're just going to create something now? You're just going to take a chance on something? I mean, it takes a lot of goddamn time. And that's the problem, is that time is money, and you need money to live. And there's just, life. I think life gets in the way of art sometimes,
It seems like somebody needs to change their life then, I think if they're saying that a lot of times, just because it's like, what is your life about? I mean,
I
life gets in the way of it, but I mean, if you're not making your life around or surrounding that type of thing that you're really interested in and all, then maybe it's time for those people to kind of change their life a little bit, because it's just not serving them. The way that they're spending their life is not serving them the way that it could, you know?
I agree. And I mean, I think, you know, all intensive purposes, like, that is the best way to look at things. Like, I really do love your perspective on life in general. Like, I think you have the, you know, ultimate, like, just go for it mentality. And I do envy that in a lot of ways. I mean, that's evidence of you just going out to LA and doing your thing and whatnot. But I think sometimes, though, it can be more complicated than that. You know, I mean, as much as that's a great attitude to have, I don't know if it always applies to everyone, because, you know, you could, in a way, this is obviously exaggerating that sense, but you could say, like, well, I mean, you don't like not having money, well, you know, stop being poor. You know, I mean, when I'm saying, like, life gets in the way, it's like sometimes you don't have a choice. You know, you're a financial prisoner to having to go to work, having to, you know, own up to these responsibilities, having, you know, and then art and stuff like that, which are nice things to have in your life, are forced to play second fiddle to the other things that lead to survival, you know. And also, if you don't survive, if you die in the gutter from poverty, you can't create the art anyways. So, I mean, it's a very shitty, like, and I don't want to defend, believe me, I don't want to defend the give up on art mentality. I mean, but I'm just trying to look at it in like a realist kind of sense. And I think part of, you know, part of something that you have to do sometimes is maybe sometimes go against, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this right, because I know this isn't the right phrase. I want to say, like, go against what you believe in, because sometimes you're not, you know, sometimes what you believe in, I guess, doesn't 100% work for everyone. Maybe.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to say.
I see where you're coming from.
Yeah. I wish it wasn't the case. Believe me, I wish that money didn't matter. I wish that none of this bullshit mattered, and we could just, you know, rise above and either create the best or the shittiest art we could, and then just be judged by that. You know, it's like, if that's what you were meant to do, some people were meant to be doctors, lawyers, whatever, and some people were meant to be artists. But unfortunately, the people who were meant to be artists can't always be.
No, that's definitely true. I just think that this is why I jumped over here from the whole Kickstarter thing, is just because, like, in this day and age, it's, I don't know, it seems possible and it seems feasible, and if it is, then I guess I'm gonna just try to fucking do it so that I can not keep talking and start doing. But yeah, I think I'm gonna give a Kickstarter thing a shot somehow, to be able to pull off a film that I want to do. I have about 9 of them right now that are all shorts, but I want to see if that can be done. If you can just say, fuck my day job, if I can get this one thing up and rolling, or if I can get these 2 things up and rolling, or something like that. I mean, I think it can be done, but I think it can be done now because of those type of programs. Because if you have this idea, if you have this thing that you want to do, you can do it if other people are also into that. Yeah, I don't know exactly what, but you know what? I think I do. But that's okay. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. I fully back and support you 100%. And if there's ever a time where, like, I want to be proven wrong, like, I mean, fucking do it. I want you to prove me wrong. I want to still believe and have hope in the independent artist, and I really hope that you can make me put my cynical, pessimistic foot in my mouth and succeed at that. I really do. Like, I'm not one of those guys who I just want to.
So
be
what
right
would
to
what would
need to
it
be
what would
right.
it what would it take to do that then? To you to put your cynical foot in your mouth? Because I mean, do you just believe? Do you just have kind of the feeling that it for most artists it just can't happen because they're not willing to, or they don't have the financial means to, or
Yeah, and I think it even goes even broader than financial. I think time as well. You know, I mean, how many
yeah.
people? I mean, I only have a job. You know,
But I mean, the financial because of the time because of the financial though.
yeah, but what I meant is that also there's, maybe some artists have, you know, wives, husbands, children, all that stuff requires time too, right? You got to invest time. So that's even going past the financial stuff of like, I need to make money, I need to have this day job. There's other aspects of life too. But yeah, I mean, I'd say financial's the biggest one. So I don't know. I just think, yeah, it's really it takes a lot, and I don't think that, because there's two things at play here, right? There's the one where it's like you just got to be a good artist, that's storyteller, cinematographer, whatever. Like you have to have something there, and then on top of that, you also have to have the heart and the will to take those risks and devote that time, give up your free time. I mean, my God, I understand how the 40-hour work week was designed and the weekends were designed. Like, this is all like man-made, right? But everyone abides by it, regular industries, because you would go fucking insane if you didn't. So like 2 days off, they must have done some scientific study to realize that 2 days off was enough time to let someone reset, reboot in a sense, and then be able to start the work week again. Like, that was probably the like bare minimum, right, that they could get by with. And
yeah, I think it was France, or maybe it was France or Switzerland. They switched over to like a 4-day work week instead, like a standardized, which is interesting. But no, I see what you're saying. Like, it's and I know. I mean, because I was shooting the edge of grip when I was working at Motorola, and then it's like, hey, I have time for nothing else whatsoever.
Yeah.
So it is difficult, but I think the problem being time is a large portion in bed with the problem of financial, and I think that these programs can solve that for a lot of artists, and I think that they have. But then again, like you said, I mean, you just have to be a good fucking artist when you go. When you launch, when you do your thing, you have to be fucking ready in any aspect that you could have possibly thought of, and you can't just fucking wing it.
Right.
Because people will know if like you try to do something, it turns out like shit, and it's not, and you even know, oh fuck, this is shit, and then they are going to come back to you and donate for your next project? No, I mean, it's not going to happen. I mean, you got to be on point before you start.
I still don't see though how it's like, I don't think it's also just as simple as like, well, we have these tools, so just utilize them, and then as long as you're a good artist, it will work. Because like, let's say, my situation, Freebirds, or your situation, Edge of Grip, like, let's say we both let's say that they're both really great projects. We're both talented artists, right? Let's say that. And let's say we both create Kickstarters. I mean, like, who's to say that that they're both gonna be seen? Like, I'm sure there's a lot of shit on Kickstarters, like, or whatever. Like, and I know you said about using, multiple social medias with Twitter and all that stuff. I guess maybe I'm too much of a old man, maybe, to grasp like how you do this like correctly. But I just see it as like a lot of it has to do with chance. I feel like that a bunch of people see it and they like it, and then therefore if 20 people see it, now that puts it up higher in the search results, and that creates 40 more people the chance to see it, which then it sends 100 and so forth, and then that's how something goes viral. But I feel like at its initial level of submission, it starts at chance. I mean, and then it could fucking fail because it's terrible, or it could succeed because it's really well. But I feel
but if it fails because it's terrible, or if it succeeds because it's really good, that's not chance though.
Right, but I'm saying like that first, but that's after the initial opportunity. Like I'm saying, like to get the recognition for people to decide if it's even terrible or good is chance. I'm not saying that for fact. I'm saying that as my perspective. I mean, I'm open to you telling me a bunch of stuff that makes me again put my foot in my mouth. But I'm saying like the way I look at it is like, let's say both Edge of Grip and Freebooters launched same time on Kickstarter, and they're both equally good, but for whatever reason in the search results, maybe Freebooters is hidden or whatever, and like let's say you did it on like one day earlier than me, and on that day like nothing else was released right on Kickstarter, or like less things, and so like 20 people saw your thing, hit it up, donated, liked it, whatever. And then now that boosted it up in the search results. But then I do it the next day, and my thing's equally as good as yours. But now there's more stuff maybe being released that day. It's a more like high-level day to release stuff. And now less people just happen upon it. So now mine gets nothing. And it's not because it was less quality, but it's because just that initial group didn't see it. Now maybe if that, if it was shitty, that initial group would see it, and then they'd be like, well, fuck this, we're not donating to it. But what if those initial people didn't even get the chance to see it? Because I gotta imagine at this point, Kickstarter is well known. A lot of people probably post stuff on there constantly, so not everything can be seen. That just doesn't seem numerically like correct to me, unless I'm missing
and it's
something.
Which is why when you launch a Kickstarter, you launch it about 6 months prior. You launch it on a landing page like Rocket Hub or something like that, where you can have people, you can send this information to bloggers to ask them to write about about the project you're going to be working on, or you can send it out to different people who do reviews or podcasts or whatever else, so they can kind of take a look at it and talk about it, and they can send it out to their users too. And then that ends up being able to, you take that landing page, and that landing page is basically an email notification page. So somebody gets there, they put in name and email, you'll be notified when this project is being released on Kickstarter. Thanks for hitting us up. And then project launches, and now you have 500 people who are signed up on the email list, and all of them on the first day get an email blast that says, hey, I just want to let you know, this project, Freebooters, just launched on Kickstarter. You said you were interested in it when it would launch, and they all see that. The same email blast goes out the last week and the last day. And then that way you already have an assured number of people, and the day your project launches, you get probably about 20% funded if you're doing your if you're using your landing page right, and or higher it, but at least 20%. And then, I mean, you do that, you're 20% funded in the first day, and then your project rises to the top because it got so much traffic. And then that's when people see it, and that's when the Vimeo staff, or not the Vimeo staff, the Kickstarter staff like that project, and they promote that project. Because nobody wants to promote a shitty, dying project. Or even a great, like, fucking amazing project. And it's like, they need $18,000 more, and their project ends in 4 days. Please help them. It's like, no, it's like people want to get involved with it because it's a fucking great idea, not because, oh, you're going to be so sad.
No, I understand it like a high level, step by step, what you're saying makes sense to me. But the problem is, like, there was a lot of, like, little sub-steps or a lot of little tasks at hand in between that stuff that requires a lot of work and know-how. Not even just effort. Like, you got to know shit. Like what you were saying with, like,
right, but that's not a reason why I would be lucky if somebody saw it or didn't see it, though. That's all I was saying.
No, okay, fine. But I'm just talking about then from my own ignorance of like, well, how do I do something successful? Because you're saying with the landing page and then sending it to bloggers or this stuff, but it's like, I don't fucking know anyone. Like, okay, I create a landing page now 6 months before my Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Then what? I mean, like, so
Then you make a video that, like the video you made for freebooters, and you say, hey, send a little email out, hey, we know that you guys are into this stuff, but like,
you got this fucking high level of shit, man, and it makes sense.
But
you're like, and then you send an email out. Okay, so is there just a button where I put email out, and then it just goes, and then everyone who needs to see it sees it? I mean, no, it's a lot more in depth than that. And I think that maybe subconsciously you know it, or you know the people, or you know what needs to do. But I'm a fucking idiot, man. I'm a stupid fuck. Okay. I don't know what to do, okay? So I have this video, I have this Kickstarter in hibernation, I guess. I have this landing page, and then what the fuck do? I email it out. What are the addresses? What are the fucking people?
That's what you're promoting. You're not promoting your Kickstarter as much as promoting your landing page. You're promoting the start of the idea. And
to fucking who? That's my point. Who am I promoting this to?
Hold on 1 second. I'm going to show you how difficult this is. Just watch the screen very closely. Because I'm going to just show you. I wish I could just screen share while we're... Oh, I could screen share. Fuck it. I don't want to do that. So
are you taking me to another social media site?
I'm gonna fucking mute you in a second. I'm gonna go to Google Chrome and I'm gonna type in sci-fi blogger. Okay, and we have 8,730,000 results in 0.53 seconds.
Okay, and what percent of those are useless?
No. Okay, fine. 1% of those are useless. Let's say 99.99999% of them are not useless. Okay?
No, I didn't say one. I said what? What percent? Because, like, how many of them are just assholes with, a WordPress page that costs them $10 a month and are just talking about shit? Like, how do you know that a blogger is significant?
You see that link I just sent you?
Yeah.
Yeah, click on that. So how do you know if they're legit, right?
Okay.
What's that? What's the first search result that pops up in Google?
Top 100 science fiction blogs.
Oh, those sound like they would probably be some of the best ones, the most read ones. Huh. I wonder if I could go to those and click on them. I wonder if those web pages have a contact us page in them. I wonder if I could send them a link to a video in that contact us page. It's not backwards shit. It's not backdoor stuff. It's just telling people that you're doing this, but nobody fucking does that.
Okay, so then you find these bloggers. All right, so number one.
I really should have shared a screen with you. That would have been better.
IO9. That was the guy at the top, right?
Okay. Sure, I don't know.
At that first one. So now I'm on his blog. Now what the fuck do I do? Does he have an email address on here?
IO9. Okay. These are related blogs. Let's log in and sign up, so he has to have a way to contact him. Let's see. We go down to the bottom, and we have about, help, terms, policy, privacy, advertising, permissions, content guidelines, RSS, jobs. Jobs. I wonder if they have a contact us in the jobs, but they probably have a contact us in the about as well. No, not the jobs. I can't believe I'm actually walking through this with you. Like, it's that hard to find somebody's fucking email. Okay.
I'm just trying to dumb this down as much as possible. That's what I'm
ready?
playing devil's advocate here, Matt, okay? I'm trying to make you fight for this, okay?
Did you go to the about page yet?
I just went to the
what's that website?
Editor-in-chief, email, senior editors, email. Okay.
Tip your editors. Tip your editors. For
Yeah,
tech
there's
support.
all right. For those who
How
can't
many
see,
emails are here?
there's
I think
about
there's,
like 30 email addresses, I guess. So, all right.
Oh, and they have one specifically for media requests.
Wow. Okay. All right. So I picked like
And
the
let me
one...
tell no, let me tell you something. It's not that rare for people to put their contact information on their own website.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. I actually have a website and I do have contact information, so I don't even.
Holy shit! Imagine that. People put contact info on websites.
All right, so I'm a douchebag. All right, glad we could cover that. All right,
This idea of contacting people and telling them about stuff is totally bullshit. You can't do that with the internet.
Well, no, I mean, no, but that was, I think that was still like a good sub step to incorporate is like, because you said, create the landing page and get it out to bloggers. I liked, maybe there's a bunch of other people listening who are like, Adam, you're a fucking idiot. Why did you need him to connect those dots? But whatever. I like that you said, all right, search for top 100 sci-fi or whatever kind of genre you're writing about bloggers. Get the list, then go to those individual bloggers, and then go and get their email address. I think that was... Now you broke it down for me, and now that now it comes to like almost how we did, looking for a job applications, right? You go on Monster, whatever. You'd search for different companies. You'd see who had openings, and then you would send out a bunch of emails with your resume. Now you're sending out a bunch of emails with maybe that link.
I'd like to
that
represent
video.
Mandy.com for filmmaking jobs rather than Monster, or not even filmmaking
Sure,
jobs.
you're right. That was just.
I just wanted to be a prick.
I use Mandy too. That was. Monster was just the first generic one that came to my head, but you're right. Mandy's the better one, I think, as well.
So then, yeah, I mean, so.
No, you're right. That was a good point. I just it's fun to get in little friendly arguments every now and then.
Oh, I love friendly
this
arguments.
podcast shouldn't just be about you and me sucking each other's dick. I don't think that anyone.
No, and I like it when I hear you screaming in both my ears in too loud of a volume. That's great.
Yeah.
I think you just might have picked up on my microphone.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I'm on. What am I on? I'm not even that many beers deep. I don't know what my excuse is. I'm just loud and obnoxious, I guess.
That's okay. You're allowed to be loud and obnoxious.
I like to
I guess.
think that I'm the just like you're like the director of this, right? You're like the one. You're the voice of reason. You kind of guide the conversation. You have like the intelligent places to take us and whatever.
I guide the conversation because you got to ask me some fucking questions back.
No, but because I'm just like the ridiculous one to laugh at. Then, like, I'm just this sheer like sense of entertainment, and not in the sense that I'm necessarily entertaining. I just mean that maybe I'm the instead of like everyone laughing with me, people are probably laughing at me too, which is fine. I embrace that.
Yeah, they laughed. They always laughed at Pinky and not really at Brain, but Pinky ended up being the smarter one, right?
Did he end up being the smarter one?
He did. I don't remember where I saw that at, but yeah, he did. I never ended up getting through everything with that. I never got to season 5 on Pinky and the Brain, if that's what it ended up being.
Yeah.
Fuck.
But I guess I'm just You're right. I gotta think of some good questions, and I totally could, because like you're a good person to get at. Like this was kind of in a way though, with me coming at you with the going.
That was, and I liked that.
Yeah, and that was good.
I felt like you were gonna like eat my dick or something. I was kind of scared there.
Because you are a very like. I feel like you're kind of a very wise person. Where even though we're like roughly the same age, you're maybe a few months older than me, but you have this sense like. You're an older soul. So, like, I feel like you would be a good person to ask questions because I feel like you have a lot of answers that I should know. My problem is not that I'm disinterested, right? It's that I'm just so shitty at that. I'm better at just getting drunk and ranting That's just like, and since you're like this good mastermind like director, you can guide
mastermind director. We both pressed record on our NTG or on our H4Ns or whatever.
I don't mean from like necessarily the production end. I mean
from our like, H4Ns.
From the in the moment end, right? Like just guiding the conversation from like a talking point. And I don't know. Maybe it's too because I'm too afraid that if I stop talking and pause to think, then I won't know what to say. And I'm just too afraid of like awkward silence. Maybe that's it.
Okay, and the Kickstarter stuff was backwards thinking. Okay, I don't.
Hey, I don't
pause to think, so I'll forget what I'm gonna say.
I don't pretend to make sense, man. Okay, and I don't even pretend to be smart. I think I've said this already numerous times that I'm stupid in a lot of aspects of things. But
oh yeah, me too. I didn't mean, oh yeah, you like, oh yeah, you are fucking stupid.
Yeah, Adam, you're a dumb fuck.
No, I just meant that I think most people are stupid in most areas, but they're smart in some very small areas, and that's what makes them who they are.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's important too to like recognize your faults and not necessarily be ashamed of or embarrassed of them, but almost embrace them because that's what makes you human, right? And then you can
you have to
friends with people who are better at those things that you suck at, like friends who are good at asking questions. Because imagine if this was just you and I both ranting, right? That would be not make sense. And then imagine if it was just both you and I just asking questions and then no answers, I mean, I do agree though. Like there could probably be a better like balance maybe where I will try to work on that. But
that's cool.
I think it's better than the alternative extremes though. At least
it is. It is better of the alternative extremes of us both ranting at the same time and us both asking questions at the same time. That would be not good.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for taking a listen to Dying to Shoot. You can follow us on Twitter at MAT_DTS.
And Adam_DTS.